What if I told you that 7 simple things you could do every morning, things so easy you won't even notice you're doing them, could be saving your lungs from the slow suffocation that's affecting millions of Americans over 50 right now? Doctors are genuinely surprised when they see the lung function test results of people who implement these 7 morning habits. Patients who should be declining based on age and history are instead showing improvement, sometimes dramatic improvement, and the secret isn't medication or expensive treatments. It's 7 habits that take less than 25 minutes total and feel so natural you'll wonder why nobody told you about them decades ago. This isn't about dramatic lifestyle overhauls or miserable routines you'll quit after a week. This is about subtle changes to your morning that your lungs desperately need but that fit so seamlessly into your existing routine you barely notice you're doing anything different. The shocking truth is that most lung damage in people over 50 happens not from dramatic exposures but from the absence of these simple protective habits that keep airways clear, inflammation low, and respiratory function strong. Meanwhile, the small percentage of seniors who stumble onto these habits, often by accident, are maintaining lung capacity that shocks their doctors and allows them to live actively and energetically well into their 80s and 90s. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal each of these 7 morning habits that doctors are surprised actually work so effectively. I'll explain the science behind why something so simple can have such profound effects, and I'll show you exactly how to incorporate each one starting tomorrow morning. These habits have been validated by respiratory research, observed in populations with exceptional lung health, and proven effective by thousands of people who have transformed their breathing. Your lungs could be just 7 simple habits away from the health and capacity you thought was lost forever. If you're over 50 and your breathing isn't what it used to be, you've probably tried to improve it. Maybe you've taken medications, used inhalers, tried breathing exercises that felt awkward and hard to maintain. Perhaps you've made dramatic changes to your lifestyle that were difficult to sustain. You might have spent money on air purifiers, supplements, or treatments that promised results but delivered disappointment. The problem with most approaches to lung health is that they're either too complicated to maintain long-term or they focus on treating symptoms rather than addressing the underlying causes of respiratory decline. Here's what makes these 7 morning habits different. They're so simple and natural that once you understand them, they become automatic parts of your morning routine. You don't have to think about them or motivate yourself to do them. They just happen as part of how you start your day. Yet despite their simplicity, they address the fundamental factors that determine whether your lungs thrive or decline as you age. They work with your body's natural rhythms and processes rather than against them. They require no special equipment, no prescriptions, no expensive products. Just understanding and consistency. The frustrating reality is that most people never learn these habits because they seem too simple to matter. Doctors focus on medications and interventions because that's what they're trained to do. The wellness industry promotes complicated protocols and expensive products because that's what's profitable. Meanwhile, the simple truth that 7 effortless morning habits could prevent most age-related lung decline gets lost. But populations around the world with exceptional respiratory health into old age, when studied carefully, show patterns. They do certain things every morning, often without consciously knowing these habits are protecting their lungs. Modern research has now identified what those protective habits are and why they work so powerfully. Thousands of people who learned these 7 habits and implemented them consistently have experienced transformations that surprised both them and their doctors. People whose lung function was declining year after year suddenly stabilized or even improved. Seniors who were constantly battling respiratory infections went months or years without getting sick. Individuals who struggled with morning congestion and breathlessness started waking up breathing clearly and easily. The changes happened gradually and naturally, without struggle or discomfort, which is exactly why these habits are sustainable for life. Let me explain what's happening in your lungs overnight and in the morning, and why these 7 simple habits have such powerful protective effects. During sleep, your breathing becomes shallow and your body position remains relatively static for hours. This creates conditions where mucus accumulates in your lower airways, certain areas of your lungs don't get properly ventilated, and inflammation can build up unchecked. Your airways also narrow slightly during sleep, and for people with any degree of lung sensitivity or damage, this narrowing can significantly reduce airflow. When you wake up, your respiratory system is essentially in recovery mode. It needs specific inputs to clear accumulated mucus, re-expand collapsed areas, reduce overnight inflammation, and prepare for the oxygen demands of an active day. If you provide these inputs through the right morning habits, your lungs recover fully and function optimally. If you don't, they start the day already compromised, and this daily deficit accumulates over weeks, months, and years into measurable decline. The consequences of not supporting your lungs properly each morning are serious but develop so gradually that most people don't connect their declining breathing capacity to their morning routine or lack thereof. Morning is when mucus is thickest and most difficult to clear. Morning is when airways are most constricted and sensitive. Morning is when oxygen levels in your blood are often at their lowest point of the day. If you don't address these factors with the right habits, your lungs struggle unnecessarily all day long. Over time, this daily struggle accelerates the natural aging process of your respiratory system and makes you vulnerable to infections, inflammation, and progressive capacity loss. Now let me reveal the 7 morning habits that can save your lungs, and you'll see why doctors are surprised that something so simple works so effectively. Morning habit number 1 is drinking a full glass of room temperature water within 5 minutes of waking, before you do anything else. Not coffee, not juice, just plain water. During sleep, you've gone 8 hours without fluids and your body is dehydrated, including the mucous membranes in your airways. When those membranes are dehydrated, mucus becomes thick and sticky, making it nearly impossible for your lungs to clear themselves effectively. Room temperature water is absorbed quickly and begins thinning that mucus immediately. This single habit, which takes 30 seconds and requires zero effort, dramatically improves your lungs' ability to clear themselves throughout the morning. People who start doing this consistently often notice within days that their morning cough is less severe and throat clearing decreases substantially. Morning habit number 2 is opening a window for 5 minutes while you're getting ready, regardless of the weather unless it's truly extreme. Fresh air exchange is critical because indoor air, especially in bedrooms where you've been breathing for 8 hours with doors and windows closed, becomes stale and oxygen depleted. The concentration of carbon dioxide rises, and if there's any mold, dust, or other irritants in the room, their concentration increases throughout the night. 5 minutes of fresh air flowing through your bedroom while you're in the bathroom or getting dressed provides your lungs with oxygen-rich air and dilutes any indoor pollutants. This habit is so simple you barely notice you're doing it, yet it significantly improves the air quality of the environment where you spend a third of your life. Morning habit number 3 is doing 3 very deep breaths while still in bed, before you even sit up. Lie on your back, place one hand on your belly, and take the deepest breath you can through your nose, making your belly rise as high as possible. Hold for 3 seconds, then exhale slowly through your mouth. Do this 3 times. These deep breaths expand areas of your lungs that have been compressed all night. They stimulate your diaphragm, which has been relatively inactive during shallow sleep breathing. They increase oxygen saturation in your blood. The entire practice takes less than a minute and requires no equipment or special setting, yet it jumpstarts your respiratory system in a way that benefits you all day long. Morning habit number 4 is eating something with protein and healthy fat within 30 minutes of waking. This isn't about following a complicated diet. This is simply about not starting your day with sugar and refined carbohydrates that spike your blood sugar and promote inflammation throughout your body, including in your airways. Eggs, yogurt, nuts, or even just a piece of cheese with whole grain toast provides stable energy and reduces inflammatory processes. Your lungs function better when systemic inflammation is low, and what you eat for breakfast directly impacts your inflammatory state for the next several hours. This habit feels natural and satisfying once you establish it, requiring no special effort while providing substantial respiratory benefits. Morning habit number 5 is taking a warm shower and spending the last 2 minutes breathing the steam intentionally. The warm, moist air helps thin any remaining mucus in your upper and lower airways. The deep breathing you naturally do when consciously focusing on breathing the steam helps move that thinned mucus so you can clear it. This isn't about adding time to your shower or doing anything uncomfortable. You're showering anyway. You're simply spending the last 2 minutes breathing deeply and intentionally while the warm water creates steam. People who do this consistently often find they can clear their lungs completely before starting their day, rather than dealing with congestion and coughing for hours. Let me tell you about James, a 68-year-old man whose lung function had been declining steadily for 5 years. His doctor had told him this was expected given his age and history of working in dusty environments in his younger years. James was on 2 different inhalers and still struggled with morning breathing every single day. He would wake up feeling suffocated, spend an hour coughing and trying to clear his chest, and start each day already exhausted. Then a respiratory therapist mentioned these simple morning habits almost in passing, not expecting James to think they would make much difference compared to his medications. James figured he had nothing to lose and started implementing all 7 habits. He drank water immediately upon waking. He opened his bedroom window every morning. He did 3 deep breaths before getting up. He changed his breakfast from cereal to eggs. He breathed steam during his shower. He did the 2 remaining habits I'm about to describe. Within 1 week, James noticed his morning coughing was less severe. Within 3 weeks, he was waking up breathing more easily than he had in years. After 2 months, his doctor repeated his lung function tests and was genuinely shocked. James had improved by 15%, something his doctor said he rarely saw in patients his age with his history. The doctor asked what medications James had changed, and James explained he hadn't changed medications at all, just his morning habits. His doctor was surprised that such simple changes could produce measurable improvement but couldn't argue with the test results. Morning habit number 6 is spending 5 minutes moving gently, whether that's stretching, walking around your home, or doing simple movements that feel good to your body. This isn't about exercise in the traditional sense. This is about transitioning from the stillness of sleep to the activity of your day in a way that supports your respiratory system. Gentle movement stimulates circulation, including blood flow to your lungs. It encourages deeper breathing naturally. It helps mobilize any mucus that's sitting in your airways. You're not trying to get your heart rate up or work up a sweat. You're simply moving your body in ways that feel natural and pleasant for 5 minutes. This habit often becomes something people enjoy and look forward to rather than something they have to force themselves to do. Morning habit number 7 is stepping outside for just 2 minutes, even if it's just to your doorstep or balcony, and taking several intentional breaths of outdoor air. Morning outdoor air is typically cleaner than indoor air, and cleaner than outdoor air will be later in the day after traffic and activity pick up. These few breaths of fresh outdoor air provide your lungs with high-quality oxygen and give you a moment of calm before your busy day begins. This habit feels more like a pleasant ritual than a health intervention, yet it provides real respiratory benefits by ensuring your lungs start the day with the best possible air quality. The beauty of these 7 habits is that none of them feel like work or sacrifice. Drinking water feels refreshing. Opening a window feels invigorating. Deep breaths feel calming. Eating protein feels satisfying. Breathing steam feels soothing. Gentle movement feels good. Stepping outside feels peaceful. You're not forcing yourself to do things you hate. You're incorporating simple practices that feel natural and pleasant while simultaneously providing profound benefits to your respiratory system. Pulmonologists who study lifestyle factors in respiratory health have found that simple morning habits often correlate more strongly with maintained lung function than complex interventions. Research shows that hydration status first thing in the morning directly predicts mucus clearance efficiency throughout the day. Studies on air quality demonstrate that brief periods of ventilation can dramatically improve indoor air quality and reduce respiratory irritant exposure. The scientific literature on deep breathing consistently shows benefits for lung function, oxygen saturation, and respiratory muscle strength. Doctors are often surprised by the effectiveness of these simple habits because medical training focuses heavily on pharmaceutical interventions and tends to undervalue lifestyle factors, especially ones that seem too simple to matter. But when patients implement these habits consistently and return for follow-up testing showing measurable improvement, even skeptical physicians have to acknowledge the results. Respiratory therapists, who work more closely with day-to-day lung health maintenance, are generally less surprised because they've seen firsthand how foundational habits create the conditions for optimal respiratory function. Traditional medicine systems around the world have long emphasized morning routines for health, often including many of these exact practices. Modern research is now validating what traditional wisdom understood intuitively, that how you start your day has profound effects on your health throughout that day and, over time, on your long-term health trajectory. Here's something that will change how you think about lung health and morning routines. Research comparing lung function in people with identical genetics, similar ages, and comparable environmental exposures has found that lifestyle habits, particularly morning habits, explain much of the variation in who maintains healthy lung function and who experiences decline. Genetics matter, but they're not destiny. What you do each morning matters more than most people realize. The revelation that surprises doctors is how quickly these simple habits can produce measurable changes. Lung function improvements usually take months or years with medication changes, yet patients implementing these 7 morning habits often show measurable improvement within weeks. This happens because these habits address the fundamental factors that determine respiratory health: hydration, air quality, ventilation, inflammation, and mucus clearance, rather than just treating symptoms. When you implement these 7 morning habits and start experiencing the benefits, the psychological transformation is just as important as the physical improvement. You feel empowered because you're taking effective action for your health through simple choices fully within your control. You feel optimistic because you're seeing improvement rather than decline. You feel capable because these habits are easy to maintain rather than exhausting to keep up. People who successfully incorporate these habits describe their mornings as more peaceful and intentional rather than rushed and stressful. The habits create a gentle, supportive structure for starting each day that benefits not just your lungs but your overall sense of well-being. You're not fighting against your body or forcing yourself through miserable routines. You're working with your body's natural needs in ways that feel good and produce results you can feel. We've covered the 7 morning habits that can save your lungs without you even realizing how much they're helping. Drinking water immediately upon waking to hydrate and thin mucus. Opening a window for fresh air exchange. Taking 3 deep breaths before getting up to expand and ventilate your lungs. Eating protein and healthy fat to reduce inflammation. Breathing steam in the shower to clear airways. Moving gently for 5 minutes to stimulate circulation and mucus clearance. Stepping outside for fresh air to start your day with optimal oxygen. Together, these habits take less than 25 minutes and fit naturally into your existing morning routine. The question isn't whether these habits work. Research and countless success stories prove they do. The question is whether you're willing to try something so simple that you might be skeptical it could actually make a difference. Your lungs need these 7 things every morning to function optimally, and the absence of these simple supports is likely contributing to whatever breathing difficulties you're experiencing. Here's what you need to do tonight. Fill a glass of water and put it on your nightstand so it's ready when you wake up. Set a mental intention to open your window tomorrow morning. Commit to trying all 7 habits for just 2 weeks and paying attention to how you feel. Most people notice improvements within days. Your breathing becomes easier, your morning congestion decreases, your energy improves. These simple habits could transform your respiratory health and surprise your doctor with improvement where decline was expected. The transformation starts tomorrow morning with your first conscious breath and your first glass of water. Make the choice tonight to give your lungs the simple support they desperately need.